The Odyssey, Book 9, an animated retelling and study guide. 3 characters in the book are Odysseus, King Alcinous, and a Cyclops named Polyphemus. The Odyssey is an epic. An epic is a long narrative poem that tells the story of a hero. It reveals universal truths as the hero has many adventures in many places. In the Odyssey, the Greek hero Odysseus is trying to get home to Ithaca after fighting at Troy. Previous books of the Odyssey contain the stories of his capture by Calypso and Circe. Odysseus mentions those adventures at the beginning of Book 9 and then continues his story. Odysseus is now in Phaeacia, also known as Scheria. His story is told in flashback. Although Odysseus is now at a banquet given to welcome him, he thinks back to the past to tell his story to King Alcinous. At the banquet, the king turns to Odysseus and says, "Who are you, and what happened to you before you came here to Phaeacia?" "Well, what should I tell you about first? The gods have given me many trials. I am Laertes' son. My home is Ithaca. I have been kept away from home by Calypso, who kept me in her cave, and Circe, who kept me in her hall. I wanted to go home to my parents. Nothing, not even gold in a faraway land, is sweeter than home. What has happened to me since I sailed from Troy? First, my crew and I sailed to Ismarus, the land of the Cicones, but they were allies of Troy, and therefore were our enemies. We raided them, taking their possessions and their wives, but after losing 72 men and barely escaping, we went back to sea. I might have made it home, but as I sailed around Malea, the currents and wind took us to the land of the lotus eaters. They seemed friendly and gave us lotus plants to eat, but then we cared about nothing, not even going home. Finally, I told my men to stop eating, but they ignored me and just sat and ate. One after another said to me, "Go away, Odysseus. I love the lotus plant." "We must leave here. All hands, come, clear the beach, and no one taste the lotus, or you lose your hope of home. You and you, tie those affected by the lotus to their rowing benches." We sailed away and saw the land of the Cyclopes. Before we went to the land of the Cyclopes, we landed on a deserted island nearby where we could watch them. We ate wine and wild goats. The Cyclopes were giants who had no laws and who did not plow fields, but lived on what grew wild. Each Cyclops lived in his own cave and did whatever he wanted with his wife, children, and possessions. I decided to visit the Cyclopes to see if they would be friends or enemies. I took my own ship and men, leaving the others behind. When my men and I reached land, I took 12 men and went to a cave where we had seen a Cyclops. I also took with me food and a goatskin of liquor. We climbed up to the cave, but the Cyclops was not there. He was out with his sheep. Inside the cave, we saw lambs divided into 3 age groups, kept in separate pens. We also saw many types of cheese, bowls, and milk pails. My men wanted to take as much as they could carry and head back to the ship, but I said no. I wanted to see the caveman, what he had to offer. No pretty sight it turned out for my friends. Now, listeners, it's important to note that here Homer, the author, is using the technique of foreshadowing. He is warning readers that Odysseus's men will not find the Cyclops a pretty sight because of what he is about to do to them. We lit a fire, ate some cheese, and waited for the Cyclops to return to his cave. When he did return, he was carrying wood which he dropped with a loud crash onto the cave's floor. He brought in the female sheep, the ewes, for milking, and left the males, the rams, outside. Then he moved a huge rock weighing many tons to completely close the entrance to the cave. He milked the ewes and threw wood on the fire. That is when he saw us. "Strangers, who are you? And where are you from? I wonder if you are good or evil." "We have come from Troy. We fought there for King Agamemnon. We are trying to get home, but we have been blown off course. I am sure you know the sacred custom for people to help strangers with food and gifts. Will you help us? Remember, Zeus avenges any harm done to guests." "You are a ninny, or else you come from the other end of nowhere, telling me mind the gods. We Cyclopes care not a whistle for your thundering Zeus or all the gods in bliss. We have more force by far. Tell me, where is your ship?" Fascinating. What happened next? I lied and told him my ship had broken up on the rocks. He did not reply. He just grabbed 2 of my men, hit their heads on the floor, tore them apart, and ate them. We cried out but could do nothing. I had a chance to kill him when he lay down after eating, but then I realized if I killed him, none of us would ever be able to leave the cave because of the great rock he had used to close the entrance. My men and I waited for morning. The Cyclops woke up, did his chores, ate some of my men for breakfast. He moved the rock and left the cave, but sadly he remembered to move it back to close the cave. While he was gone, my men and I found an olive tree in the cave that the Cyclops must have planned to use later. We cut a 6-foot section and made a stake with a pointed end. We tossed to choose who would use the stake to blind the Cyclops. Luckily, the tossing chose 4 strong men, and of course I would join them. The Cyclops returned that evening. This time he brought in all the sheep, male and female. He completed his chores, caught 2 more of my men, and ate them. Now was my chance. I took an ivory bowl full of the liquor I had brought with me. I said, "Here's liquor to wash down your scraps of men. Taste it and see the kind of drink we carried under our planks. I meant it for an offering if you would help us home. But you are mad, unbearable, a bloody monster. After this, will any traveler come to see you?" What did he do then? He took the bowl, drank, and asked for more. He gave me nectar and ambrosia, food from the gods, and he asked me for my name. He drank 3 more bowls of my liquor. When I saw that he was feeling the effects, I answered him. I told him my name was Nobody. He told me that because I had given him the liquor as a gift, he would give me the gift of eating me last. Then drunk, he fell asleep. My men and I heated the end of the pointed stake we had made in the fire. Then we lifted it and rammed it into a single eye. I leaned on it and with my men's help turned it like a drill. The Cyclops yelled and we moved quickly out of his way. Blinded, he felt around and then screamed for help from the other Cyclopes. Some heard him and came outside the cave. They asked him what was wrong. He exclaimed, "I have been tricked and ruined by Nobody." And they replied that if nobody had hurt him and he was just having the pain that the gods had given him, he should pray to his father Poseidon. Then they went away. The Cyclops moved the rock away from the cave's entrance. He sat there blocking it. I thought about how we could escape and noticed the fat rams in the cave. I tied 3 sheep together for each man. Each man would hang under the middle ram's belly and be protected from the touch of Polyphemus on both sides. I myself just held on to the biggest ram, hanging underneath its belly. When morning came, my men successfully escaped, but then when my ram left, the Cyclops was surprised that the lead ram was the last one out. He finally let the ram and me out, though. After we got some distance away from the cave, I untied my men. We took the sheep with us back to our ship and told the men there the terrible story of how the Cyclops had eaten our friends. We set sail, and when we were as far out as we could be and still have my shouting voice be heard, I yelled to the Cyclops, "Oh, Cyclops! Would you feast on my companions? Puny am I in a caveman's hands? How do you like the beating that we gave you, you cannibal? Eater of guests under your roof, Zeus and the gods have paid you." The angry Cyclops broke off the top of a hill and threw it at us. It made a big wave that almost pushed us back to shore. I pushed us away with a boat hook and then ordered the men to row hard to save all of our lives. I shaped my hands around my mouth to help my voice carry farther. My men asked me not to yell out again, but I was angry and shouted to the Cyclops, "Cyclops, if ever mortal man inquires how you were put to shame and blinded, tell him Odysseus, raider of cities, took your eye, Laertes' son, whose home is on Ithaca." When he heard me, the Cyclops cried out, "Oh no! A wizard named Telemus told me that one day I would be blinded by someone named Odysseus. I thought it would be a giant who would one day attack, not a small human. Come back! I will ask my father Poseidon, god of earthquakes and sea, to befriend you. I hope my father will heal my eye. Come back!" Did you go back? I shouted back that I wish I could kill him and send him to hell where his father would never be able to help him. The Cyclops did pray then to his father. He asked that I never be allowed to return home, or that if I were allowed to make it home, that I would make it there alone after many years of troubles and find only bitter days. The gods heard his prayers. He then threw a huge stone at us, but it missed. We returned to our other ships, unloaded the sheep, and I killed and cooked my ram. I offered his thigh bones to Zeus, but the god did not accept my offering. He planned to destroy my ships and men. We ate and drank all day. Then we slept all night. The next morning we sailed on.